This week on the College Football Roundup, the Sherrone Moore Scandal escalates, Indiana gets their first Heisman, the playoffs approach, and so much more. This is the Monday Report, starting now. Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday, December 15th, 2025, and this is the Monday Report. I'm your host, H. James K., and boy, do we have a busy show for you today. So today we're going to give an update on the Sherrone Moore business, then we're going to do a roundup of all the different postseason college football trophies, individual trophies, Coach of the Year, Heisman, all of those. And then we're going to give a preview of the coming playoff first round matchups, and I'll give a prediction, and then we'll get some quick hits, and we'll be out of here. Alright, so for the Sherrone Moore stuff, a lot happened since my emergency episode on the business. So Sherrone Moore was reportedly in a relationship with athletic department assistant Paige Shiver for multiple years. She broke it off on Monday and reported it to administration. This is reportedly, unconfirmed, but reportedly, after he fired her to make the whole thing go away, which is a real own goal if that's true. An investigation took place from the university with other people corroborating Shiver's story. Moore was subsequently fired for cause on Wednesday. Unconfirmed reports claim that Moore had previous mental health issues as Michigan's head coach. Athletic director Ward Manuel fired him. He lost his cool, went to Shiver's house, and threatened to kill himself with a butter knife and some scissors, saying that Shiver ruined his life and his blood was going to be on her hands. But considering Sherrone Moore has had a continual issue with identifying his weapons, he chose a butter knife. Yeah, that's a joke I've seen made a couple times. I couldn't resist. I'm sorry. After the scene, Sherrone Moore fled Shiver's home and was subsequently arrested by police. He was charged with third-degree felony home invasion, as well as stalking and breaking and entering. He was arraigned on Friday, December 12th, and released on a $25,000 bond. Further reports have revealed that Moore was in contact with popular OnlyFans model and Michigan superfan Mia Sorority. It is reported that Moore contacted Sorority during halftime against Ohio State just 3 weeks ago. So my thoughts on all of this is, one, dude messed up his entire life because he couldn't keep it in his pants. That's it. Couldn't keep it in his pants. And you know what? Even if you're going to have an affair, there are multiple things he did that you just don't do. You don't fire the person who can screw your entire damn life up. You just don't. Transfer her. Pay her money to shut up. Whatever you got to do, you don't fire her, giving her reason to go to administration and get you fired. But that's excusing his behavior. What Sherrone Moore was doing, apparently there was multiple women flirting with a whole bunch of people, OnlyFans models. He was obviously having an affair with Shiver. The whole thing is just disgraceful. Here's what I'll say. The idea of a Michigan man is dead. Michigan man doesn't mean a dang thing anymore. It's over. Michigan man has become a big joke because Sherrone Moore's his tenure was rife with scandal. The college men's baseball had a scandal. Men's hockey had a scandal. Juwan Howard was punching coaches, on the court. The Michigan man moniker needs to go away because it doesn't mean anything right now other than cheating, moral turpitude, and covering up bad behavior. So I'm done with the whole, he's not a Michigan man. No, that's a joke. We're done with that. As for Sherrone Moore, if the dude hadn't lost his cool, he would have gotten fired for cause. This would have been a big scandal. He would have gone away for 2 years, and then he would have magically reappeared as an O-line coach. And he would have gotten on his life. I mean, if Art Briles could survive the Baylor rape culture scandal, any coach can survive anything. But the second you commit multiple third-degree felonies and threaten to kill yourself, you're done. So Sherrone Moore's career is over, which is a shame because he was a damn good recruiter. He was a damn good O-line coach. He was a pretty solid offensive coordinator. So, yeah, it just, you messed your life up, dude. You threw it all away. And he's looking at third-degree felonies, but I don't think he's going to face any time. I think they're going to probably plea this down or, come into some kind of agreement, and he'll get, 300 hours of community service and 4 years probation and a giant fine, and, that'll be it. I think that's going to be the full extent of it. All right, moving on to Trophy Roundup. So right off the top, Fernando Mendoza was the biggest winner of awards season this year. He won the Heisman Trophy, Indiana's first Heisman Trophy winner. He was a 2-star recruit out of high school, and he was very under-recruited, so everyone likes the fact that he won. It was the story. He was a great Heisman candidate, and he also won the Walter Camp Award, which is for Best Player. He won the Maxwell Award, which is the Best Player as voted by a panel of media and coaches. He won the Davey O'Brien Award, which is Outstanding on and off the field. And he won the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award for Best Quarterback. So, yeah, he won the whole thing. And as with a lot of things, the day before the Heisman ceremony, when they say Fernando Mendoza wins Maxwell Award, Fernando Mendoza wins Walter Camp, Fernando Mendoza wins Davey O'Brien, you know he's going to win the Heisman. Because the Heisman almost never goes to someone who didn't win those 3 awards. So they always kind of come in fours. All right, Jacob Rodriguez, the linebacker from Texas Tech, he got himself some hardware. He won the Chuck Bednarik Award for Best Defensive Player. He won the Bronco Nagurski Award for Best Defensive Player, and those are basically the same award as voted on different organizations. He won the Dick Butkus Award for Best Linebacker and the Lombardi Award for Best Lineman, Offense or Defense. What's interesting is he won the Lombardi Award even though he was a linebacker, and one of his teammates was also up for that award, but he won it anyway. Caleb Downs, the Ohio State defensive back, he got some hardware. He won the Lott Impact Trophy, which is Best Defensive Player, and he won the Jim Thorpe Award for Best Defensive Back. It's interesting how there's multiple Best Defensive Player awards, voted on by different groups. It's interesting how all of them carry some weight because all of them have been around for so long. Eli Stowers, which was the tight end for Vanderbilt, he won the Mackey Award for the John Mackey Award for Best Tight End, and he won the Campbell Trophy, which is the academic Heisman. Other trophies. So Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame won the Doak Walker Award for Best Running Back. Makai Lemon of USC won the Fred Biletnikoff Award for Best Wide Receiver. Oklahoma University kicker Tate Sandell won the Lou Groza Award. Spencer Fano of Utah, he won the Outland Trophy, which is the Best Interior Offensive Lineman. Brett Thorson of Georgia won the Ray Guy Award for Best Punter. Logan Jones of Iowa won the Remington Trophy, which is the Best Overall Lineman. Kurt Signetti won the Home Depot Award, which is the biggest, most prestigious Coach of the Year award. He won it for the second year in a row. KC Concepcion, the wide receiver from Texas A&M University, won the Paul Hornung Award for Most Versatile Player. Michael Michael Taffy, the Texas defensive back, won the Werfel Trophy for best off the field. This is like high character, academics, charitable work, community organization, that kind of stuff. Kevin Cahill of Lehigh won the Eddie Robinson Award, which is the top Division I head coach. Kalani Sitake of BYU won the Buddy Tevens Award, which is also a top head coach award. Who knew there were 3 of them? I certainly didn't. And lastly, Drew Mestemacher of North Texas won the Burlsworth Trophy, which is the best player who started their career as a walk-on. So that's the full extent of the hardware this year. A lot of trophies. Some of those were expected. Some of those really weren't. Like, you knew Jacob Rodriguez and Caleb Downs were going to really kind of go ham on the defensive awards. I was kind of surprised that Stowers won the Mackey Award. But the one that was a really big upset was Makai Lemon over Jeremiah Smith for the Fred Biletnikoff Award. I like it though because as much as Jeremiah Smith is an incredible player, Ohio State doesn't really notice his loss on offense. But when Makai Lemon is not having a good day, USC notices that in a big way. He's a huge playmaker. He was a massive part of their offense. He was a huge reason why things just kind of moved along in that offense. So I know there's a lot of people who didn't like Makai Lemon winning that award, but I fully support that. 10 toes down, saying it with my chest. Makai Lemon deserved the Fred Biletnikoff Award. All right, moving on. Let's talk about the coming college football playoff games. So the first one we got is going to be Alabama at Oklahoma on Friday the 19th. I think it's Friday the 19th. I know it's Friday, but I think it's the 19th. Let me check real quick. Yep, Friday the 19th, and that's going to be at like 8 p.m. Oklahoma won this game earlier in the year. And Ty Simpson is supposedly injured. He's the Alabama quarterback. But I'm still predicting that Alabama is going to win 28-23. It's hard to beat the same team twice in 1 year. I mean, look at it. In the NFL, teams don't usually sweep their division rivals. Usually, teams will split. So in college football, it's the same thing. It's really hard to win against the same team twice, and I think Alabama is going to win this rematch. I hate that there are multiple rematches, but it is what it is. The next one coming on Saturday, December 20th. Is Miami at Texas A&M. And boy, this is a game that could go any which way. I mean, either Miami is going to be everything as advertised and they're going to shock some people, or they're going to get absolutely dumpstered by Texas A&M, who has one singular loss to Texas, even though I genuinely believe they still should have been in the SEC championship game, but I know that's not how that works. They're still, in my opinion, the best team in the SEC. I know Georgia won the SEC, but I think Texas A&M is better. They've just, Marcel Reed is a great coach. They're really good in the trenches. They play incredible defense. They're really sound. They don't make a lot of mistakes or mental errors. They don't commit a lot of penalties. They run the ball decently well. They're a good team, which is why I'm predicting that they are going to beat Miami 31-20. The next game is also another rematch. Tulane is taking on Ole Miss in Oxford. The last time these two teams played, Ole Miss won like 35-10. Or 45-10 or something like that. And I think it's going to be the same thing. Fist meets face meets canvas, and then the bell goes off because the fight is over. I think it's going to be that. I think Ole Miss is going to win 40-14. I think it's going to be over by the end of the first quarter, and it's going to be a snoozer that no one watches. But, it is what it is. When Duke wins the ACC, this is what happens. You get 2 group of 5 teams in. And then the final playoff game we got is James Madison at Oregon. And boy, this is another crazy mismatch. What can you say about James Madison? Oh yeah, they're gonna get beat. They're gonna beat up. They're gonna get beat up. They're gonna get blasted. This isn't even gonna be a contest. I'm predicting that Oregon's gonna win 35-10. There's nothing for even me to say about these games because it wouldn't be any point. Now, if Oregon or Ole Miss loses, I'll give the Tulane or James Madison their flowers. I'll lead the show with that. But I just don't think there's any point because they're going to get absolutely shellacked, you know. All right, and the last up, this is kind of a short episode. I think this might be the last episode of like truly the college football roundup for the season because there's just not as much going on right now. It depends on what's going on next week, but there just isn't a lot happening right now. There's not a lot of movement in the Michigan head coach search. There's a lot of rumors and BS and lies on Twitter that I'm just, I'll talk about some of that in a second. But so there just isn't a lot going on right now. But in quick hits, excuse me. Wow, that was a yawn out of nowhere. Holy crap. I'm sorry. So we got our first bowl game, the bucked up LA Bowl, which was the Big Ten's Washington Huskies versus the Mountain West's Boise State Broncos. And Washington won a snoozer, 38-10. Damon Williams Jr. is really good. And Denzel Boston is really, really, really good. I mean, it was just throw after throw and crazy. And, I was really impressed with Damon Williams Jr. and his performance at QB. I thought his pocket presence was really good. His ability to evade the rush and improvise. And, man, he threw some balls that are just like, wow. But, man, I'm getting tired. But, it was a boring game. I watched it because football is football, and you got to scout out who might just end up being Michigan's next head coach, that being Washington coach Jedd Fisch. But yeah, it was boring as hell. Sorry, pardon my language, but it was really boring. I watched it because they had to have something to talk about, but it was a game where Boise State was just outmatched, and then their quarterback got injured and left the game and ended up in a walking boot, and the backup threw multiple interceptions and got sacked, and it was just bad. Sorry, man, these yawns are getting to me. It's barely 9:30 on Sunday, but when I'm recording this, but my oh my. All right, moving on in quick hits because that was the longest quick hit ever. Kenny Dillingham is working on, that's the head coach of the Arizona State Sun Devils. He is working on an amended contract with Arizona State that would raise his pay and give him more resources at Arizona State, effectively removing him from contention for head coach at Michigan. This follows Friday night. There was a lot of speculation that Kenny Dillingham was going to be the coach, and a whole bunch of Michigan players liked him on Instagram and started following him on Twitter, and it was all a bunch of nothing. It was started by people on Twitter who didn't know, who didn't know anything about anything and didn't have any sources, and there's that. In other news, Kalen DeBoer has come out rather definitively saying that he has no interest in taking other jobs. His family is perfectly happy in Tuscaloosa, and he is fully committed to the Alabama Crimson Tide head coaching job, which I think is a rather definitive way of saying he's not interested in the Michigan head coaching job. Now, having said that, I think that entirely depends on how his playoff game goes. If Oklahoma beats them again and they're just one and done, bounced from the playoffs after getting spanked in the SEC championship game, I wouldn't be surprised if there are those in Alabama fandom who are saying, oh, he's not the right man, the Saban standard has fallen. especially if Bama gets blown out, which I don't think is going to happen for a second. Maybe then he's more receptive, but I think he's staying, and I think it's like Michigan is clearly waiting to see how that game goes, to see if there is any there, but I think it's folly. There is a rumor, and it's just a rumor. It's substantiated by nobody with real sources, but there is a rumor that the firm hired to do the Michigan head coaching search has talked to representatives of Kenny Dillingham and Missouri head coach Eli Drinkwitz. Now, Drinkwitz is a good coach. He's had some pretty good results at Mizzou. He hasn't had the most kind things to say about Michigan and, all of the quote-unquote cheating and all that. So I think he might be a bit of a weird fit at Michigan. But he likes to run the ball, which I guess is, a reason for him to be at Michigan or whatever, according to the media. Ultimately, I think Michigan's going to hire Jedd Fisch. I think that's just going to happen. Now, I'm not super happy about that, and I think it'll be a 3-year show, and then he'll either jump to the NFL instead of getting run out of town, or he'll just get straight up run out of town for going 8-4 and 9-3 and missing the playoffs 3 years in a row or whatever, that kind of thing. But I think I have a feeling that Jedd Fisch is going to be the guy. And now this isn't a slight against him. I guess I would have to see the staff he put together and everything, because I've just not been super impressed with his head coaching work. Like when he had Noah Fafita at Arizona, they were really good. They won like 10 games. But, man, it's one of these things where I'm not super impressed, I want a guy who I know can develop a QB, like 100%, who plays physical football, who has a disciplined team. I don't want to be a team that's physical against the bad teams and a limp noodle against the good teams and fall short in the big moments. I want a team that can win the big games. 2021 to 2023 Michigan was pretty great. It was really fun winning the games that you're supposed to win. The previous 6 years of my life were pretty boring in football because Michigan would be like, yay, we're great until we meet a quality opponent and then we lose in humiliating fashion. So I really don't want that, but I think that's ultimately where this is going. I think it's going to be Jedd Fisch. Now, I would love to be proven wrong, but I think I think it's going to be him without a shadow of a doubt. It's not going to be Kenny Dillingham. It's not going to be Eli Drinkwitz. It's not going to be Kalen DeBoer. It's not going to be Clark Lee. It's not going to be Jesse Minter. It's not going to be Brian Kelly. I think it's going to be Jedd Fisch. But I don't think we're going to know anything definitive until next week at the earliest. Next Monday, I would think, is when we'll know a little more. All right. So for those of you listening on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and everywhere else that podcasts are available, thank you. Please spread the word. Leave a like if you can. Subscribe if you can to help spread the podcast's reach. For those of you watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you get every notification. Thank you. Please tell your friends and family about the videos. Spread the word so we can help the channel grow. I would like to get back to 10 subscribers. I had 10 briefly, and now I went back to 9, and it's just been stuck there for like a month and a half. So let's, get up to 10 subscribers. All right, my name is H. James K. Thank y'all for tuning in. Until next time.